Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall that the illustrious president that we call Ramaphosa recently announced that Eskom was unable to fulfill the requirements of actually providing with South Africa with electricity. But he's like, that's okay, because he had a plan. And that plan, ladies and gentlemen, was you should generate your own electricity because Eskom can't do it for you. Well, it turns out that even when you do provide your own electricity, Eskom doesn't like that, and they still want you to load shed. You should load shed in solidarity with those who do not have. What do you think of this, Ramon?
Ironically, this is happening in Frankfurt, which I believe is where Winnie Mandela was jailed for the longest period of time, and we spent 4 million rand on a museum to her, which looks like a house in a squatter camp, i.e. nothing has been done there. But anyway, the reason why we talk about Frankfurt is because the town had a deal with solar providers in the area, and basically they wouldn't have any load shedding thanks to this alternative energy supply. But once they tried to implement this, Eskom took them to court. I said, no, you can't actually do this.
So Eskom didn't actually have an issue with them having their own electricity source. What Eskom had an issue with is the fact that they wouldn't be subject to Eskom's load shedding schedule. They said, yeah, but we give you the schedule and you should load shed. They're like, but we've got electricity. It's not from you, it's our own. So we're not going to load shed. We're just going to use our own stuff when you go offline, yeah? And they said, no, that's not okay. You still needed to follow Eskom's schedule. Make it make sense, Ramon.
Yeah, so Frankfurt said it suffered 66 days of load shedding on top of the normal load shedding due to broken cables and stuff like that. But Eskom said actually, fact check, you only suffered 29 days of extra load shedding. And by the way, all those cables belongs to us, so you can't use them anyway. So Byron, the situation that we're in is that the Eskom can't provide electricity when we build alternatives as a country at the behest of the president of the country, because he understands the limits of his power. We're not allowed to do that either, because Eskom says, no, you must suffer like everyone else. Like, this is like true communism, where everyone suffers equally.
Well, we all know that the president is very keen for social compacts, and apparently the social compacts now extend to you have electricity, you can use your electricity, but you should still have load shedding in solidarity with those who do not. I can make it make sense, Ramon. I figured it out. It's owned by Afrikaners. Therefore, it's racist for them not to have load shedding. I've got it, my friend. I've got it.
And ironically, Frankfurt is not the first place where this thing is happening, right? There's Limborough Park in Johannesburg, which has its own like private gas-powered sort of power station, and that could basically take the entire suburb off the grid. Eskom took them to court for that as well. And then back over there in Tshwane, which now has a DA mayor, also another power plant. It could take an entire sort of suburb off the grid as well. Eskom took them to court too. So how can you be in a situation where, as a company, you can't provide anything of value to anyone, and yet you prevent other people from building alternatives, even though the alternatives are the very lifeblood of the economy, of human survival, of human comfort, of being a citizen of South Africa, i.e. electricity, but somehow that is not allowed? It's just the weirdest thing.
No. And so what's also weird, and as the article very well highlights, is that the South African government is trying to force everybody to get rooftop solar in order to go green, right? It's all part of the Green Deal. And we're all trying to get people to generate their own green electricity. But as the article very rightly highlights, if this is going to be the attitude, people are going to go, well, what's the point? We might as well just not have it, because you're going to say you've spent all the money on the infrastructure so that you don't have load shedding, that you can continue to run your farms and do your crops and so forth. But you're telling us that we can't do it because you don't like that and we should still have load shedding anyway. Who's going to invest in that? The answer is, well, no one.
Well, no one. I mean, we reached a point in South Africa where we basically have to switch off alternative energy sources so that the load shedding schedule can like apply equally. So people will literally have to sit in the dark, despite the fact that there is an alternative there. It's just mind blowing.
Yeah. Now, just for context, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want you, if you got rooftop solar, to start shitting your pants and being like, oh, it's a failed state. Yeah, it's a failed state anyway. But, the point here actually isn't that it was being run by Afrikaners and all the other stuff, all the other bullshit that we said. The actual point here is that the Afrikaners and all the people around the farming community, ran their grid infrastructure through the municipality. They paid for it, but they were running the electricity through the infrastructure of the municipality so that they could basically also sell off some of their own electricity through to the local inhabitants. They didn't actually want any money for it. They were actually sharing it so the town could be more prosperous. I suppose that's a proper nice story that the president wants us to do, right? Let's give our hard-earned money for free so that people can have free shit. Like, they actually did it here. But because of that, they're saying that the municipality still needs to follow the load shedding schedule. And I suppose to a degree, that's actually going to raise questions, even for me, in terms of what's going to happen in Cape Town, right? Because Cape Town's trying to get their own off-grid solution so that they can generate electricity at a cheaper price and sell it to their locals, etc. Is Eskom still going to tell them that they've got to follow the load shedding schedule, even though that they're able to be independent? According to this, that's exactly what's going to happen.
But of course, the solution is the same. The morning shot solution of the day is don't ask for permission and don't ask for forgiveness after the fact. To be really right-wing in South Africa is to build the alternative, don't explain it to everyone, and just keep using it despite all the threats from Eskom. Because essentially what they're going to do, cut off electricity, they've done that already. There is no harm whatsoever from you building the alternatives and telling Eskom to voetsek as well as the ANC.
Actually, Ramon, I think it actually goes one step further than that. And actually, this highlights everything that we said. And we have keep saying as a channel, tell government to voetsek, stop trying to do things through government. The failure of this municipality is that the farmers put their electricity supply into the municipality and tried to do the right thing. It's their fault, in my opinion, because what they should have done is create their own infrastructure and shared it amongst each other. You tell the municipality and the state to voetsek because it cannot be trusted. Where you get involved with the state and where you try to be the nice guy, it never works out for you, does it? Because commies won't just let you be. They never do. And here's a good example of them just not allowing people their own hard-earned money to use the infrastructure that they've built. So the answer would have been exclude the municipality and build your own infrastructure outside of them. I think their fault is that they've tried to get local governments involved, and that's where it's all fallen down.
Indeed. So the solution is build alternatives, don't use existing infrastructure, don't explain, don't apologize, and most of all, do whatever the hell you want. Because this is South Africa, and property rights here are far more sacrosanct than anywhere else in the world. And if you own property, you can do whatever the hell you want. Just look at Clarkson's farm to see how property owners are dealt with overseas. That problem doesn't arise here, so bloody well use it.